Yeah. MD. JPB. It's only right, baby.
Yeah. Why you mad? I got a bad bro. Name hot in these streets, no Tabasco. But I'm so stuck, that's a fact, yo. And if you think I'm frontin', you can run it back, yo. Go run it back. You know that I run it. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this. Damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of this, and I am back here with another video. Today I am doing What If Asta was Zoro's Reincarnation, Part 3. And I don't really have much to say, just don't forget to subscribe. Actually, I've been meaning to, say this out loud because honestly, I've been too preoccupied with like school and SATs and stuff. But there's a certain amount of you that have not subscribed, even though you watch my videos, so please subscribe and support the channel, it helps a lot. And leave some likes and turn on notifications because YouTube really fucks that up sometimes for me, and I think they hate me sometimes. And yeah, let's just, get into the video. So let's start off with Asta going to the dungeon where, despite getting lost, he comes back in the end and shows off his three-sword style, and he amazes everyone. And then after this, Asta and everyone meet Julius in person, but he would refuse to bow to him. And then after showing that he has anti-magic, which is not really known up until now, he would join the banquet where his tendencies will go a bit crazy as he drinks and acts foolhardy and gets attacked by the nobles, but defeats them all, scaring the shit out of Nozel, and then leaving in anger. Outside, he and Nuno would then watch the capital fall into chaos and they get into action, and Asta would stop the man who started the fires from spreading more through the capital, and then he knocked out Rady, saving Mari and just completely stopping the army of undead. Now during this, Nuno attains his spirit power and becomes even stronger, and Asta then gets captured but turns the situation on its head, and then he sees Licht, the leader, and completely deals with him like a freaking baby and like any foe he would. Julius then arrives and Licht escapes, making Asta mad, and then after looking at the area which they are in, Julius takes Asta back to the Gauche kingdom, and after this comes the reveal of this organization that's after the kingdom, and Asta goes to a mixer he doesn't really want to be at, and he would knock out a drunkard with hockey. So we're going to have a little flashback to start off with this video, as Asta will be running to the Black Bull's base. From tree to tree he would leap, and this is when Libe will talk to him. Hey human, what did you mean by this world when you were talking to that mage? You talked as if I was from another world? That's because I am. Libe is shocked to hear this, as he then said, I come from a world full of people even stronger than you can imagine, and I was one of those strong people, along with my crew. Your crew? You mean your magic squad? Asta laughed, saying, hell no, we were a band of thieving pirates. We were nothing like the Magic Knights. Libe is surprised to see that Asta is saying this with such a big smile, and now he really wants to know about his past, and they talk about his past life a bit, but Asta is vague about it, only telling him his old name, Roronoa Zoro. We then cut to the present when Asta just knocked out the drunk man with hockey, and everyone in the pub is a bit shocked as he then gets up looking at the bar. Hey, I'll have what he's having. Pointing to the drunk man, he then walks to the bar and gets some booze and starts to leave while chugging it. Asta would say, we should probably stop this here and now. At least we tried, right? Look, wanna go spar? Oh, that's way more fun. He then jumps out of his seat and he and Asta start to leave. Inferno tries to make them stay, but this is when Asta death stares him, saying, just what the hell is your obsession with women, Finral? It's almost disgusting. How the hell are you a magic knight? Don't you have any aspirations for yourself? The girls who were on the day heard Asta say this, and they were on the street now, and they feel bad for Finral, but Asta doesn't give a fuck, and he leaves, going back to the Black Bull's base with luck. And as he leaves, Noelle runs out of the establishment in her server outfit, being happy that the date went bad, but again goes all soon today. Finral simply stands there, unmoving, thinking, I hate that he's right. Why do I even do this? I don't need a woman. I already... Damn it! He then teleports back to the Black base on his own, and soon when Asta and Luck make it home, they do spar a bit, and Luck is really improving, but he still can't land a hit on Asta. After the spar, they then go inside and just, chill, and night would fall as Asta proceeds to sleep on the couch, and Luck is in his room. There is nobody around, and Noelle was outside actually practicing her magic, and as for Finral, he's just in his room thinking about things, specifically what Asta told him, and Yami then walks into the living room and wakes up Asta. Huh? What's going on? There's something going on near the orphanage. Go take care of it. Hey, yo, Finral. Finral then comes down from his room and his eyes advert Asta's as he's then told by Yami to make a portal for him. And yeah, as Finral makes the portal, Asta puts his robe on and takes his bandana, having a good feeling that something good might happen. And as Asta steps through, he finds himself stepping on snow and his senses go haywire. This can't be normal. Is that you? Asta then turns to see a crying Rebecca, and he is standing right in front of the villagers who had their kids kidnapped as well, and he would say, oh, it's you. What's the matter? She then gets up saying that for some reason the kids have all disappeared, like every one of their kids have disappeared, and some other magic knight is already on the way to solve the problem along with Sister Teresa. Then I guess I'm the backup. Give me a moment. He then closes his eyes and focuses, and when he opens his eyes, they sort of narrow and they start to see far, far away a clump of light, and this light would rearrange to show the kids in the cave, and he also sees Gauche and Teresa having just reached them. After he sees this, it's pretty far, and he knows that he can't be late, so he says, "Hey yo, Libe." Libe responds as he then says that he has an idea, and Rebecca would ask if he can make sure that her siblings are safe. Should be pretty easy enough. Stop crying, well, your eyes are gonna get puffy. He then wipes her tears and takes out one of his swords. He points it towards the sky and where the kids are, and in an instant, he gets flinged into the air because Libe is helping him fly, because Asta is so much more stronger than in the original, and he's so much better at using anti-magic since it's natural after you have so many years of using a spiritual power like hockey. So yeah, he can fly. So Rebecca watches him fly off and hopes everything will be fine, and when we find Teresa protecting the kids, she stands in front of a knocked out Nage and a sticky salamander, being used by Sally, and a giant grotesque golem that once was Barrow, who stole all the kids' magic. Damn it, that Gauche and his obsessions. Sister, are you gonna be okay? You're bleeding, one of the kids would say, as Teresa then turns around with a big smile saying, I'm sure it'll work out. Okay, just don't worry about me. I'm a tough old woman. By this point, of course, Gauche is already left with Marie because he's selfish like that, and Sally would then say, yeah, you really are tough. To burn my sticky salamander? You were definitely a magic knight, weren't you? Teresa has no need to answer this, and so she doesn't, and so Sally gets bored and tells Barrow to attack. As the golem attacks though, Teresa readies her magic, and this is when Barrow was hit by something coming from the top of the cave, and it just crashes into the cave, and this unseen object then slams through its head and into the walls of the cave, making it shake, as Asta would be the one who was this object, and he would fall to the ground annoyed. Yeah, I need to learn to stop, but we made it though. Asta then saw Sally and the giant monster in front of him, and Sally would say, oh, it's you, that magicless guy. Want to become my lab rat? Asta would be weirded out as he would scoff, and he swings towards Barrow, and an anti-magic wave just cuts his head off, and that was all that was needed as, well, Barrow is not that strong. And his giant head falls in front of Asta, and it starts to crumble. Who is that man? Teresa would think, as Asta then walks in front of Teresa and asks where the magic knight that was with her was, and Teresa would say that he fled, and Asta smiled, saying, more for me then. He then takes out another sword and then dashes towards Sally, who can't react fast enough, but her sticky salamander was in front of her already, so she thought it would be fine. Asta then comes up to a stop and says, Nitoryu, Nigiri. Holding his two swords at his right side, he then covers them in blood red anti-magic, and he swings and quickly re-sheathes his sword as he does, and Sticky Salamander gets cut through and blows up. Meanwhile, the remaining pressure just slams into Sally, and that slams her into the walls of the cave with so much force that she spews out a lot of blood, and her vertebrae would almost snap. So much power. Too much power. She then falls over as Gauche flies in on his broom, only to see that everything was already taken care of, and Asta would say, and where the hell were you? Gauche then lands on his broom and he goes to say something, but Marie runs away from him and runs Asta, hugging his leg. Thank you for coming. And Asta would say, it's no problem, and he pats her on her head. And this is when he looks at Gauche. He would then attack him with the mirror beam, and Asta dodges to the side. Just what are you doing? Teresa would yell. He touched my precious sister. Asta then gets quiet as he starts walking up to Gauche, and he starts to feel it. Fear, as he cannot even move from where he's standing. What is he doing to me? The kids and Teresa make way for Asta, having an instinct to do so, as Asta then pulls back his arm and punches Gauche so hard in the stomach that he spits out so much spit that he would think that he was a freaking water fountain. He then falls on all fours, unable to breathe, and he can't even think straight. I can stand friendly sparring and when people want to increase their skills, but you were actually intent on killing a member of your own team. I don't care if Yami won't do something about it, but from now on, you're no longer part of the Black Bulls. Everyone is shocked to hear this as Asta then grabs and rips off his robe and he throws it like literally anywhere. He doesn't give a damn. Gauche is just so baffled at what is going on that he doesn't know how to react, and Teresa thinks that this has kind of been a long time coming. He's not mentally stable. I'll take the kids home. I sense no killing intent from that boy. He's simply disciplining. Now, as they leave the cave, Gauche finds a way to lay on his back, but he still is in immense pain as he would then say, fine, kick me out. I don't care. Good. Then we're due. He then turns, cutting a light spear in half with his bare hands with his hockey around them, and he would say, oh, it's you. Licht would then be flying down from a portal, and out of the portal would also jump and fall out volatiles, and Licht then goes over to Sally, and while she was unconscious, she was hurt nonetheless, and that makes him mad. How dare you hurt my people? Clearly, Licht is mad, but Asta doesn't think that he's being mad for the right reasons. You don't care about any of them, do you? These people, your so-called friends, they're just pawns to you. Valtos gets mad at this, saying that Licht is an amazing being, but Licht cuts him off, telling him to teleport Sally back to their base. Valtos does as Licht says, and then Licht stares down Asta, and Asta realizes that he can't move as Gauche is still exhausted and behind him, and he's the reason why he's down. But honestly, even if he wasn't, Licht would have killed him, so he should just stay. Licht then smiles mischievously, seeing his advantage, and he proceeds to throw light spear after light spear at him, and he has to parry all of them and deflect all of them. Damn it, Liebe, I'm gonna need that form you're talking about. Liebe then hears this and flaws his anti-magic, and as Asta grabs a hold of it, he flows it into his entire body, and his transformation will start as he yells and slashes away from himself, creating a wave of anti-magic to go out and hit Licht, making him fall to his knees, and he spits out blood. What is this eerie feeling? Is that... He then sees Asta's just floating grimoire, and now he is in his half-demon form. He's like a demon, Gauche would think, as he then sees Asta pull out his third sword and grip it in his mouth, and Licht and Valtos would watch confusion as he gets ready for an attack, and he starts to spin his two swords in his hands. This man must be insane, but I can't take him lightly. Somehow he can cancel out my magic, and he has long range. He's dangerous. Using his magic, Licht then creates multiple barriers around him, and Asta would dash, slamming into it with his three swords, and he pushes forward with a grin, breaking through one and then another until he was right in front of Licht. But just as he goes to strike him, he has to dodge an attack from Valtos and backs away. Stop getting in the way of my fight. Valtos gets scared by one look from Asta, as Licht then orders him to open up a portal to the others. Asta gets excited hearing that there will be more people when he lets them open the portal, and out will walk out 3 people. One muscular gigantic man, one lazy looking man, and one deranged looking woman. This is the human? Why is he holding a sword in his mouth, Veto would say, as Asta would then say, none of your business. Because, well, he has the sword on his mouth, he's not going to talk perfectly. Raya then attacks instantly, moving at light speed, copying Licht's magic, but as soon as he approaches within 5 feet of Asta, he gets a cut on his throat and barely backs away as he starts to heal himself. All their eyes are widened as they didn't even see him swing, and Asta grins as he releases a purple aura. Wonderful. Simply wonderful. Don't run away like last time, okay? Let me savor this. He then dashes forward at Raya, who is then protected by a firewall from Fauna, but Asta simply cuts through it, and then Veto attacks with the Rhinoceros punch, but Asta puts up his swords, quoting them with Haki and stopping his punch. Yeah, these swords aren't going to last long. These guys are actually strong, he would think, as he then manages to push back Veto, and while being in his black form, he would then concentrate as his swords turn purple. Santorie. He then starts spinning his swords, but Licht and the others know that they can't give him time and attack using all their power. Raya copies Licht's magic, and they double their beam attacks and shoot a massive beam at him. Fauna summons her salamander, sending a huge fireball at Asta, and Veto uses a claw strike, like a bear claw, I think that's what the spell is called, and he launches a huge waves at him. And as this happens, for Asta, the world slows down. He's sweating a lot, and he's excited. He starts running at the attacks while still spinning his swords. Santorie. He blows past the attacks, and they're all cut by him in an instant. He then also passes his 3 enemies, and his muscles tense up. He can't be human, they all think. Asta then yells, Saisen Sekai, as he then stops behind them, cracking their ground, and all of them would spit out blood, and wild cuts rupture from their bodies simultaneously, and they have purple haze coming off of their cuts. They then all fall to their knees, being in unbearable pain, and when they try to heal themselves, it doesn't even work since the anti-magic has temporarily corroded their bodies. Valtos, who thinks this is the perfect time to attack since Asta seems tired, shoots a magic attack at him, but he simply turns around and looks at Valtos, and that was all it took, as his magic misses and he falls to the ground, getting knocked out. You guys are a ton of fun. Let's go again. What the hell are you? Raya would say. What are you doing with this grimoire? Oh, this thing? It just won't leave me alone. It's not my fault. He then gets mad at this, but he knows he can't use any more power, and the others know it as well, and they will be more injured if they do and try to. They're in a tough situation, and Asta notices that, as he would then naturally sheath his sword, surprising them, and he exits black mode too. You're too weak right now. Come back when you're stronger. Then it will be fair. I don't care how you attack or when. It could be in my sleep or any time, but when we meet again, I will kill you. He then walks past them, and they promise to get revenge as Raya uses what little power he can to make portals for everyone, and they fall down into the portals, disappearing. And this, of course, includes Valtos. And as they fall through, Gauche finally gets enough strength to talk, and he asks why he let them go. They're terrorists, and you just let them go? That's the same thing as going against the kingdom. That was because I was bluffing. Asta then spits out blood. He then said that he has never used anti-magic to that degree along with his hockey, so this weak body couldn't handle it. There's so much blood coming out. How is he still standing? A portal then opens up and Inferno runs out as he sees Asta bleeding, and along with him would be Yami, Fuegoleon, Nozel, and Finro, obviously Finro. And as Finro runs over to Asta because, well, he's bleeding, and regardless of what he said, they're still teammates, he would ask, like, what's going on? And Yami would say, "What happened to you, kid?" "Oh, just a little fight." The blood just keeps coming out and it won't stop, and Asta notices this, but using some past life skills, which I've added to his skill set, he hits his pressure points, making it stop all at once. Oh, that's much better. By the way, from this day on, that guy can't be part of the squad anymore. If you have a problem with it, ask him why, and if you don't agree, we can talk about it. He then walks into the portal that was still open and it leads him right back into the village, where he sees Rebecca hugging her siblings and all the villagers' kids had returned. This is of course due to Finro. And seeing this, he simply starts leaving as as Rebecca and the other kids notice him, and they say that he's the one who saved them, and the villagers will surround the boy and thank him, and he simply keeps a blank look, and they can clearly see he's a bit tired, so they get out of his way. Anytime you need help, just call me. I'm always down for a good fight anyway. The kids, mostly the boys, would think that Asta is super cool, as Rebecca then runs up to him, and as she stops, right in front of him, she asks to talk, and a hiding Noelle and the villagers would then see as she kisses him on the cheek, and she runs back home, with her siblings who would of course tease her. So Asta starts to leave, and then Noelle comes out of nowhere yelling, Why did you let her do that for? Let her do what? Noelle gets mad that he's so dense, but Asta knows how Rebecca feels. He's an adult after all, and he simply just doesn't want to return her feelings. You coming or what? He then starts leaving and Noelle follows, as we then cut to the next day at the interrogation room, where Gauche will be getting his memories read, and he was surrounded by all the captains. You would then see this raging battle that happened between Asta and the Eye of the Midnight Sun, and they were stunned. I don't know how he did it, but this kid's in a league of his own, Yami would say. As Fulguna would then say, he's like a seasoned veteran. It seems sort of weird, right? Maybe we should have a look at his memories. Julius then says, well, let's not go too far, but I did invite him. So when Asta gets called into the room, he's brought to the interrogation room by Marks, and he sees Gauche and the captains and Julius. What do you want? I was busy training. After such a serious fight, you were training? Julius would ask. That's exactly why I'm training. They're going to use everything they can to get rid of me now. They know all my abilities. It's kind of exciting, isn't it? Charlotte would then say, well, we could only see glimpses of your fight, so you have to fill in for us on what you think their abilities are from what you've seen. Asta then says, I don't know anything about magic, mostly because I don't care about it, but the girl has fire magic, the lion guy used something he called beast magic, and the lazy good looking guy can probably copy magic. Their leader can use light magic. That one's an obvious. They all then start talking about it, and they have unique types of magic, and Fauna especially, because she could use spirit magic, so she's just as special. But while they're talking, Libe would then ask something that he's been wanting to know, and that is what that common goal Asta told him that they had before the first time they met. I want to know how the hell I came here, and if these devils have anything to do with it, or if me crossing over to this world is what allowed them to cross over as well. Libe would then say, I hadn't thought of that. If your soul forcibly came here somehow, then you might have left a crack somewhere that allowed the demons to come through. Asta then asked the captains if he could leave now, and Julius said sure, but before that, he had an announcement. You, Asta of the Black Bulls, now have the title of a senior magic knight from this day on. Seems like you weren't joking about that promise to beat all the captains, but I can't make you one yet. Asta then says he doesn't care about that and goes to leave, but Julius apologizes, saying that there's one more thing they have to discuss, and they bring in their prisoners, and using Asta's anti-magic, they can bypass the lock-type magic on their memories. So they then tell everyone that the captain of the Purple Orchis betrayed the kingdom, so Asta knocks him out, and he tries to leave, but then they have to stay again, because Julius has more to talk about, but more on that later, because it's about to happen right away. Julius tells everyone to stay on guard because anyone in their group could be part of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, and they honestly don't know who to trust anymore. Now, after this little meeting is over, Julius then said that Yami and Asta had to come to his office, and Asta, who was really annoyed, would say, you really want to die, don't you? Julius then gets scared, as the other captains, and now they have to get back to training because they know that if they don't, Asta will completely overtake them. So they leave while Asta and Yami get a new mission that they have to, go down to the underwater temple. And Asta would say, so we need to get these things called magic stones? Fun. They're usually in like grand zones of magic or whatever, right? The adults look at him surprised. He would say, what? I know stuff. Julius then laughs, saying that either way they must be, on their way, and yeah, they should get the magic stones. So the two start leaving and reach the forest when Yami would ask why he wants to kick Gauche out. Because this isn't a game. If you're going to be a captain, do your job. If you're not going to be, then stop being one. I've never seen someone in your group actually be disciplined. It's actually disappointing. Hey, he's your comrade. Don't be so harsh. I know nothing about Gauche. We are not comrades. You need to start taking this seriously. This mostly is because of you. Asta then starts walking forward, but Yami grabs him on the head, asking if he wanted to die, before then realizing how badly he fucked up, because this is a habit of his, and Asta grabs his arm and takes it off with ease, but he is crushing his wrist. Jesus, what is he made of? The question is, do you want to die? He releases a conqueror spirit, making Yami fall back, as Asta would then tell him to start being a leader instead of just a lazy captain who puts all his load on freaking, people, because he kind of sucks at being a captain. He needs to actually be a leader. Now, Yami cannot deny that, and he gets up and follows Asta, and he starts thinking about things, and soon they find the Black Bulls trying to stop Gauche from leaving. Asta, help us stop him, Magna would yell, as Asta would then say, I'm the one who said he should leave. All the Black Bulls are in shock, as Magna then runs up and punches him, asking why the hell he would do that, and Asta tells Gauche to tell them why he told him to leave. With bated breath, Gauche would then say, I left behind injured citizens to the mercy of a terrorist group until he came and saved them. The group honestly doesn't know what to say, because that's fucked up. That's fucked up. But Gauche then says it's because he cared more about his sister, when Asta would say, what did your sister say to you when you were leaving? Gauche then remembers Marie crying, and she told him to go back, and he only did it because he didn't want to see her cry. And Vanessa would say, Gauche, I know you have your own thing to do, but why would you do that? If Asta didn't come in and save them, you would be in prison, or you and Marie might have been executed. The one person you care about, why would you put her in harm's way that way? Gauche never thought about Marie getting killed along with him, because, well, either way, even if he dies, then Marie is all that will be left, and she will have to fend for herself, and he can't even bear the thought of that happening. But then he gets up and starts leaving, passing Yami, who then says nothing because he has nothing to do with this group anymore. Captain, say something, Luck would say, as Yami would then say, what's there to say? Yami then heads inside, as does everyone, having realized this isn't a joke anymore. And though they hate this, what he did is kind of stupid, and he can't not be penalized for it. But everyone, even Asta, hopes he would come back, because regardless, he did eventually come back, meaning he's not a complete psychopath. Damn it, this brings back annoying memories, Asta would think. But I had to do it, or he won't change. If he leaves now, or if he comes back, it all depends on him. Now that night, the Black Bulls, everyone is quiet as hell. Everyone is in their own room, and Yami will be taking a dump, contemplating what he's been doing so far. What would Julius say, he would think. But as they're having their little moments, this is when they hear Gauche's voice, and they all gather up and get outside to see Gauche was there panting, and Yami would step up asking, what do you want? Gauche then gathers his breath and yells that he was sorry. I thought it'd be fine to leave, but then I went and I saw sister. I don't know why, but instead of hitting me, she forgave me. This is the first time the group has seen Gauche so full of emotion, more than ever, even when he's talking about Marie, and then he cries, begging them to let him back in, as he always, takes it for granted. But they are the only group of people that have actually dealt with him and stayed with him and accepted him. As he, begs for them to take it back, he actually makes a vow as he takes out a blade and stabs himself in the freaking hand, and says that from now on, he will be way more serious and actually care and just be more of a magic knight. He goes all in. He's actually bleeding. And after hearing all of this, though, Gauche sees that everyone's opinion faces are unchanged, and he starts to get scared, wondering if his friends were ever going to forgive him. But then Yomi starts walking to him as his face turns to a smile, and he then says, you gotta be more honest from time to time. Gauche is confused as he then looks to see a smiling Asta, who puts his thumbs up at him, and this is when the rest of the Black Bulls run up to him, hugging him. And after this, Gauche is taken back in, and they're telling him not to do something stupid like that again, including hurting his own hand, and then he's healed. And yeah, but of course he has to change his ways, because he needs to really stop being a psychopath like that. Marie is literally the only one he has left, but he's even pushing her away by being so crazy. And the Black Bulls are going to become far more serious. This is one thing I'm going to make as a change, because the Black Bulls are always so lax, and they always act like it's cool, but honestly, it can get a bit really annoying. It can be a little annoying. So they go on way more missions from now on, and they go get the stone at the water temple and easily succeed this time at the priest game, because it's no big deal. And Noel and Asta actually still meet Kahono, and the Eye of the Midnight Sun has not attacked yet. So after getting the stone, Yami tells Asta to give the stone over, as he has something to think about. So it's only you two. What happened? Julius would say, as Asta and Charmy were, in his office, and Asta would say, oh, Yami's just thinking about some things. So, alright then. Nothing happened, no attacks. Asta then says the organization has not attacked, and they still, don't have a name about, like, they don't know anything about them other than the fact that they're psycho and they're after the kingdom and they want the stones. However, as they're talking, Marks appears using his, magic, and he says the kingdom is under attack. Asta quickly jumps out of the nearby window as he would then see the Diamond Kingdom flying over, destroying the Clover Kingdom barrier and attacking. As he starts to fall, Asta puts his sword in his mouth and takes out his 2 other swords, and he would then fall to the ground, cracking it, as Julius just watches in amazement. It really is all physical strength. Son told you. He then jumps into the air as the Diamond Mages see a flying mage and go to shoot him down, but Lotus, who was among the crowd, recognized him. Oh shit. Tatsumaki. As Asta says this, he spins with his 3 swords, and the Golden Dawn arrives on the scene, and some mages arrive who were, coming to fight, and they would see it. Asta killing more than 100 diamond mages with his gigantic expanding tornado blade attack, which would push back everyone else, just from the pressure that it exudes. What the? The diamond mages then look down at their fallen bloody brothers in shock, and the Clover Kingdom mages would be in awe as would then say, yeah, you're terrifying sometimes. A smiling Asta would then land, yelling, you've already broken the barrier, so you better get ready to suffer the wrath of the Clover Kingdom. Vangeance smiles, saying, hearing this, and he would yell, for the glory of the kingdom, and this rallies everyone to fight, and Yami comes out swinging as well, and it will be, swatting away these diamond mages because he's way too strong, and they're way too strong for some diamond mages, for some Clover Kingdom mages, but he's swatting them away like they're flies. Now, as waves at, mages, a few of them, 4 beams just come out, and they destroy all of them, and he keeps doing this when he sees a shadow pass over him, and Asta would look at the remaining, flying mages. This was Asta passing over him, and he would say, Son told you, Saizen Sekai, and he starts spinning his 2 swords and slashes forward with incredible force, and he releases a wave of purple, energy, which cuts the remaining mages who are flying in half, and then Asta lands, sighing as he takes out his 3rd sword and puts it back in his hilt. Why the hell do you sound so disappointed? That was an awesome move, Liebe would say, and Asta would just say it's kind of, boring, there's nothing exciting happening, these guys are weak. He then turns around to go look for a challenge when he sees Langris, and he would ask, what the hell do you want? Langris is pissed, not knowing how to react to this commoner's power, but it's real, and he's strong. He can't even deny it, he literally cannot deny it. Everyone just saw it. Even if he tried to fight him, he'd probably get his ass kicked. Langris just stands there shocked as Asta would pass by him, calling him a weirdo, and he goes to meet up with the other Black Bulls. Now, due to Asta and his crazy powerful attack, most of the mages have already been, taken out, and now on the street would be Gauche, as he and Fernal also get to work and take care of all the citizens, get them to safety and defeat some diamond mages. They're actually getting serious. Charmy and Luck were there as well, and they're doing their best. And as for Asta, he's looking for more opponents, but he is saving some people. And this is when Yuna comes up flying next to him. Oh, hey. Don't hey me, Yuna would say. How long have you been hiding that move from me for? Asta then says he hasn't really been hiding it. It's just that this entire time he hasn't needed to use it. And this is when, Bello is just kind of, inspecting Asta. And he would ask, could I help you with something? Don't you feel tired at all? Asta then tilts his head in confusion when some stupid diamond mage appears shooting water spears at Asta and Yuno, who would then turn around smiling, saying, he's mine. Asta slashes towards him as Yuno blasts him, and he gets blown to smithereens in one attack. Hey, that was mine, Asta and Yuno would say to each other, and this is when Yuno notices that Asta is actually floating, and he's surprised, asking how that's possible. Anti-magic has a lot of different uses depending on how you use it, but now if we fight again, I can chase you into the air, no problem. Yuno gets nervous, he then says, I wouldn't have it any other way, trust me. The 2 brothers then grin at each other with Belle telling Yuno to pay more attention to her, as he looks more excited when he's talking with the guy than with her, and she finds it weird and she's jealous. And as they're talking, Langris sees them from below, and he will be thinking, they're strong. They're too strong to be commoners. This is when the other vice captain runs up, and Langris would ask in haste about who Asta was and who the hell Yuno was as well, but mostly Asta. And the vice captain would say, I know nothing about him, but he's dangerous. I saw it. He made Captain Nozel kneel. He made him kneel. This damn commoner messing things up. Who does he think he is? So, this is the end of the video, but I only have one question this time before I end it. How do you think Yuno's power will grow from here on? Because honestly, that's something I want to focus on the most, because I never do. Not that he's ever going to beat Asta, but it's just something to think about. Alright, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, I'm going to post What If Luffy Was Bond's reincarnation next. That part's going to be awesome. It's the freaking Fishman art. Let's go, baby. And I am going to be using more of the other Straw Hats than Luffy, because Luffy is the captain. They're going to start assuming that role of being the cool crew that does everything while their OP captain just stands in the background. So Hody and his pirates are going to get destroyed. But I'm just telling you that now. We all knew it was going to happen. I'm just telling you now that Luffy won't be as involved. Luffy will be more relying on his crew from now on. But if there's a serious fight, that's when he pulls up. Anyway, have a good day, stay safe, and yeah, goodbye.